You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. All right, Marcus, we are back on the Team Never Quit podcast. And as usual, you might imagine what's happening to me right now.
Getting fired up.
You're damn right I'm getting fired up because today's show is super cool to me because the guy that's coming on today's show, he represents so many incredible things that that just make me fired up as a human being, right? To go from one pinnacle in terms of professional accomplishment, now to shift focus, to drive into another area that has so much huge meaning, so much incredible benefit to the world. I mean, that in my world, that's what I think about on a regular basis.
A lot of people spend their whole life trying to master down one thing, to be exceptional at it. You make it in there, then as soon as you go something else, you want to try something else?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people like that have you actually met?
Like a handful.
Right.
A handful.
We actually have a teammate, Vietnam, and I was at a, matter of fact, you probably had to do this before. He was teaching neuroscience. He's a doctor now, all right? He was a fighter pilot in Vietnam.
Right.
Navy SEAL in Vietnam, then became a fighter pilot, and then became a doctor, a neurosurgeon.
Whoa.
He's a triple.
What? He's a trifecta.
The
trifecta of awesomeness.
I don't know why I was in this class. Oh yeah, dude, because there was all doctors in it. Oh, it was a boondoggle trip for medics, right? I got to go to San Diego.
I love the boondoggle trip.
Right. Yep. So that's what I was there with the doc. That's right. But I just remember I had to go. You check in the first day, right?
Yeah,
so they say like, hey, enlisted guy here, right? Good to go.
You didn't try and be an officer again?
No.
Okay. Let's go.
We talk about that? We did talk about
Not on the show. But
okay. I know you know the story. Well, that's for later. Where was I going? I forgot.
So now you're in with the doctors. You're going to this guy who's gone and taken so many different careers.
How about that, man? Not only just different careers, but those kind of careers.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that, if anybody can do that, because every time we have someone remarkable on the show, what we hear, the consistency is, hey, I'm just a regular guy,
right,
and I'm doing, I'm pushing myself beyond the normal limits.
I wanted to do it.
Yeah. They put that drive in their belly, right? The fire in their gut, and they didn't quit. Yeah, they never quit.
Perfect. They wanted to do it. And when somebody else is like, hey, you can't do that. Well,
why?
What's your opinion mean anything? Why do you even care?
That actually fires me up even more.
I hope you try to go against me.
Oh, dude, when I got out of boot camp and we had to stay in that dive fair program back in the day. I had to work at Bethesda Naval Hospital, and we worked in PSD at the hospital there. And every single day I'd walk into that place in my little black uniform from boot camp with my Ronald McDonald ribbon.
Johnny Cash's.
My Johnny Cash's,
yeah.
Which, by the way, I still wear those pants out. So I'd go in there, and at least 4 or 5 people a day look at me. And,
that's awesome, dude, really?
Oh, absolutely. And I'd walk in there, and they would look at, and the tie, too. Right. I still wear the tie as well, too. And I'd walk in there, and you know what they would say to me? They'd say, you're never going to make it. You're never going to do that. You can't do that.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Right? All the time.
All the time.
That's all you hear.
That's all you hear. And when I heard that drives me forward. And the person we're having on today is going to show you that they made it to that pinnacle. Now, in the shift they made in their life to go do it. Same thing, man. You shouldn't do that. You can't do that.
The best response that I ever heard, and I kind of adopted too, is when people are like, you can't do that. And you're like, yeah, I know. Tell them that. Tell them, I know, you're right. You know what? You're right. And I'm probably going to quit tomorrow. And then don't.
And then don't quit.
And when you just keep going, next thing you know, that same person who told you that's going to be looking up when you're at the top of whatever it was you were trying to do. And
they're going to say,
just the look on people's face when they were like, you actually did that? Like, said I would. I just told you I wouldn't.
I love it.
Right?
I love it. And that's what this show is about. If it's your first time listening to the Team Never Quit podcast, our mission here with the Wizard and Marcus and I is our mission is to help you realize that you have that potential too. It's inside you. The fire is in your gut.
No matter who you are.
No matter, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In our program and other programs out there and the people that we have on this show, they prove it doesn't matter.
I am literally talking to the person who says, well, I'm not that guy. I couldn't do that. There's always one out there like, yeah, he's talking about everybody but me. No, I am talking directly to the person sitting right there is like, I couldn't do that. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Swear you could do it.
Hands down, we know you can, and and our job is to inspire you with the show. The way the show works is we get it going, and we open up with a cool historical figure or event in history that really exemplifies the never quit attitude, and to do it on a higher plane, a higher purpose of a higher calling.
You find us a person or something that you think is unobtainable or can't be done, and we'll find somebody who's done it and bring them on here.
Not only one, we'll find you a bunch.
That's the next email strain, right? Right there.
I love it.
Why don't you find somebody, one of you negative SOBs out there, tell me something that can't get done by human spirit.
And we'll go find it.
And we'll find them for you.
We'll find it for you.
And then we'll bring them on there and explain to you how it's done so you can get up and we want to see you go do it. And then once you accomplish it, we're going to have you on the show to contradict and go against that negative attitude you had and tell us how great it is that you got up and did something and accomplished.
Man, I like that. I like that right there. That right there is a call out to you by Marcus Luttrell himself. Listen, we believe in you. We know you can, but you got to stop saying I can't.
If you need us to find somebody to prove to you that you can do it, we will.
You go ahead and write in. So on our website, on teamneverquit.com/podcast.
And give us, I tell you, like, I'm missing a leg, I'm a dumbass, I had a drug problem, and I want to do this, and I don't think I can.
We'll go find somebody who did.
Yeah, because we've all been through the same crap.
Literally. And so that's the point. That's what unites the human condition. That's what puts us all on the same playing field, is that it's inside you. We know you can do this. So on the show, if you want to know more about who it is, why we're doing this, please visit us at tnqpodcast.com or teamneverquit.com/podcast. And if you want to find the podcast, you can find us on the website. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it on SoundCloud. You can find it on Stitcher. All right, those are the places that that you can hear all the other shows we've done. And we come out every Wednesday morning at about 9 o'clock in the morning with a this week's new show. All right, so let's just jump into this week and the historical guy that we're going to talk about. Now, this one is kind of near and dear to my heart, right? Because
all of us, everybody in there.
Yeah, when I grew up, man, I was a football player. My dream was to play professional football. Absolutely number one thing. Well, this cat actually did it. The historical figure that we're talking about, is an amazing human being. His name is Pat Tillman. If you haven't heard of Pat Tillman is an amazing guy. He played for the Phoenix Cardinals, right? After going to Arizona State. Man, he did incredible. He moved up through the ranks. He was 200. What did he get picked? He was like 225th picked in the NFL draft, right? Came out and immediately became an all-pro, all this, all that for the Cardinals. He actually turned down this huge contract, Marcus, to shift and go to the Rams. He's like, I play for the Cardinals. This is where I want to be. This is my hometown. So he's this amazing guy, right? He's also pretty good looking dude too, which is awesome.
We covered that. We covered that in detail.
We did
before we started. Right?
We did.
Are we ever going to release that part?
No problem. On outtakes, we're gonna have. We're in the future. We're gonna have an outtakes.
I mean, I literally had to scroll down past the picture
so you can read.
But I can't stop scrolling back up to this guy's picture
in his uniform.
Do this. Do this. Scroll down.
I can't. I had to
and then
turn
you're looking at everything else, and then scroll back up slowly. Every part of this son of a bitch got a muscle on it. He looks good in cam. He's there. Look at that throat. He's got that profile. Look, man, you know how ridiculous we looked in these military. Trust me.
Oh, dude.
Hands full. Navy's the worst, man.
We're horrible. Cracker Jacks.
I mean, why don't we? Some of the stuff we do, I'm like, man, we could change that probably, right?
We could. We could.
I mean, I get it. Tradition. Nobody loves tradition like me, Jack.
You do.
Some of the stuff we do is damn right. Just.
Well, what makes Pat
I'm scrolling up again. Look at this.
Stop. Let your finger move your finger away from the computer, please. All right, let me get into this part because this is the important part.
All right, yeah.
All right, so after 9/11 went down, and listen, y'all, when we joke and jest because we can. We've been there, we've experienced it, we understand it. We're not disrespecting, we're not doing any of that. What we're doing is trying to bring levity to the beauty of life and to find humor.
Hey, that whole part right there was for nobody other than his teammates.
Absolutely.
And everybody who wears that tab knows exactly that where we were coming from on that.
Absolutely.
That's who that was for.
Well, I appreciate that. Well put.
It makes sense now, right?
100%.
Yeah, sure.
100%. So Pat, in the prime of his football life, after 9/11 happened, makes this incredible decision to walk away from the NFL. And by doing so, he went into the Army in order to become a Ranger to fight the war on terror, which he did. And he did valiantly. And as everybody knows the story from there, we lost Pat, But the meaning behind why I want to talk about this is that here's a human being that really was at the pinnacle of his career, but was so moved and inspired by a necessity to confront evil that he gave up the magnitude of that to go in a different direction to fight for what he believed in.
You know how I look at that? And it kind of just the human nature, the human condition, if you will. And then there's, after that, we've evolved, and then there's the American condition.
Right.
Correct?
Absolutely.
So when you're growing up and we all go to schools together and we love sports together. Well, every man, every American man growing up, enjoying everything this has to offer, and he has the ability or just the capability of going in there and playing one of our hardest games, representing his family and everything like that. But when the country got into some stuff and the men have to step up and go to work doing something else, because that's ultimately what this is, man. Everything that exists in this country, including football, that outer ring is laid down by the military.
Hands down.
Right. So when we go to do something, where we get called to go do something, man, it's one of them deals when you get those guys, and you don't have to do it. There's no draft. That's the beautiful part about it.
Volunteer.
So when you get these guys who are like, all right, man, there's just some things that I have to do, otherwise I couldn't play football. That's the way you...
And he saw that.
Right, yeah, I mean...
Instead of being like, hey,
other dudes are going.
Yeah, hey...
And I'm not only other guys are going, I'm one of the best they got, physically, mentally. I mean, look at what he did. His football... You know what I'm saying?
He felt he had to serve.
Right, and I mean... Having those abilities and knowing that and getting paid, all that stuff thrown at you, and the peer pressures just to play pro football, man, and get into all that is got to be overwhelming. But just the fact that he raised a certain way about how great this country is, so every now and again when we have to step up and go do some bad stuff or go do whatever, however you want to label what it is.
I hear you. Brother, I'm tracking.
God damn, dude, I gotta go.
Well, and that's what he said. That's what he did.
I have to go because these other dudes are going. And these other dudes watch me play. They're my fans, or they play in the sport with me.
Well, let me read you. Let me read you a quote.
I'd have never met him, man, but that seems like the mentality you gotta have.
I guarantee it is. Let me read you a quote from him, all right? Let me read you. This is what he said, okay? Sports embodied many of the qualities I deem meaningful, he said in 2002. However, these last few years, and especially after recent events, I've come to appreciate just how shallow and insignificant my role is. It's no longer important. I mean, that's powerful stuff, man.
Oh, sure.
And I'll tell you what, when a human being can realize that, when they can see beyond their own self-serving, right? Beyond that, it's the self-worth is about serving others, right? It's about coming out of your comfort zones. And that's what I think our listeners and the guests that's coming on.
I heard you read that, and I was reading that. Took me a while for that to burn through my head, just what exactly it was I thought he was saying on that. That's how significant he is, to say that what he did was insignificant.
Insignificant.
Right? Because it's not.
Nope.
Being a professional football player is not insignificant.
Ain't easy. One of the hardest things to do.
Nothing that dude in his whole life did was insignificant. I'm looking at it. I'm a big Arizona State fan. Yep. I mean, I love them guys. They're one of my teams.
Right.
I don't have many. They're one of them. I know that program.
Right.
You got to be special to go there.
Yep. And he.
I mean, I just, that ought to tell you how special he is and how much you love the country. Because when you give everything up that this country provides for you to protect it, then you understand it.
You get that.
You completely understand what he was doing and how
it makes perfect sense to me.
Right. Did I get that?
No, right? You got it. You got it.
How important that is. Look, for you people, for his teammates now, I think you should just know how much he loved you.
Amen.
Right? To step away from you.
Amen.
He absolutely had to love everybody who had anything to do with that so much that he was willing to give it up, playing it, to go fight for it. Right?
Huge.
So it wasn't insignificant. Because when you first read that, you're like, man, I didn't get that. But I do now, right?
Yes.
Hot dang. Have you seen this guy's picture? Dude. Not only does he look like that, he is the one. That's a hell of a thing to do, right?
Dude, he
must a solid dude. You've met some of his boys, right?
No, I never met anybody that served with him.
Me neither, man. I bet you, though, they would say he's a solid guy.
Absolutely. Hands down. And the guy that's coming on today.
Not that anybody would talk smack about the dead, but you know how we do.
Oh.
Even our dead.
Yeah. I mean, our brothers that we were
I just have to think this guy's got to be pretty solid, man.
Absolutely.
Right.
We know he is. Well, today's guest is also a friend of yours, and you do know him. And he is solid. And we know why he's solid, but we're going to get him on. And I tell you what, Marcus, I can guarantee the words that we're going to have out of Adam's mouth are going to be pretty freaking phenomenal, man.
Oh, hey,
and
man,
I'm pumped up.
I just figured out about Pat. Adam's got all that. And I know him. So I mean, I didn't know Pat, but from what I read there, his accolades and everything I see on the side, I put that together.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't have to read anything about Adam. I know him.
Yeah.
And the things that he does. So the introduction from Pat we're running. What I'm trying to say here is that the two men that we're talking about here run on the same line.
Same line. So let's get Adam LaRoche on, shall we, brother?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm telling you, man. Listen, here's what's happening inside. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you a brief description, Marcus. I want you to put this in your mind. I want you to hear it. Well, you're looking at me so you can see it too, kind of spilling out of my earballs. It's coming up in my sockets, man. What I am is, because I'm an athlete in my heart, man. Always have been. Started playing, organized athletics at 4 years old. My whole thing. So when we get those kinds of people on this show, it fuels my fire. Now, on top of that, we get an athlete on here that's got faith, like our guest coming on, man. I tell you, it just sends me over the top. And some of the things that he's doing with his life right now, I'm fired up, dude.
Right?
Are you fired up?
Well, this is another one of them deals where I get to hang out with one of my friends.
Absolutely. Well, let's get your friend on now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm so privileged to welcome to the show Mr. Adam LaRoche. Adam, are you there, buddy?
Man. I got you. First of all, it's an absolute honor to be invited and included in this. I appreciate that. And second, man, Dave, I want your energy. And you just got to tell me where you get that at, because that's unbelievable.
Hey, bro. Hey, that's not an act either, man. It is literally like that. Hell, you were on the thing before he even started doing this, man. He's literally
I need some of whatever
same way the teams, everything. Right?
Well, you got it. I know you got it into, because every day that I wake up, open my eyes, take a deep breath, look at my opposable thumbs, thank the Lord for being here, and know that I'm surrounded by great people that love me and care about me, that gives me all this energy to go out there and do what I do in this world. That's it.
Perfect point right there. You know what, man? Think about it like that. So I wake up in the morning and I'm always in a great mood because my friend Adam is playing baseball, and that stokes me. That fires me. You know what I'm talking about?
He's here.
Willie's going duck hunting, or whatever. All the people that you surround yourself with. If you're having the bad day, man, have their day.
Well, it doesn't. Just to know that they care about you,
and that exactly.
That they know that you. What was the remarkable thing about this? Like when you looked at us and you said, "Hey, I think Adam LaRoche would be great on the show," and man, I mean, he's a phenomenal dude. And Adam, I don't know about you, but do you feel that sense of relief every day because of the people that are in your life?
Man, I do. But what's funny, and I'm listening to you guys talk, and you're so right about waking up every day and just appreciating the small things. And I think, and you mentioned that, and I think that's something that I can take for granted so quick if I don't keep myself in check. And constantly remind myself when something really small doesn't go my way, or even if it is something a little bigger, that there's the majority of the world is in way worse shape than we are. I mean, and that's understatement.
Getting hammered.
We're so, especially in baseball, and obviously I'm just recently retired, so it's still fresh. I mean, we got to be the most spoiled people in the world. The way you're treated as a professional athlete. I mean, it's not even realistic. The way, and so to think for a second that, or to feel sorry for ourselves for a second. I mean, we no doubt need to look in the mirror and use that to stay humbled. No doubt. I love that iron sharpens iron quote.
Well, it's one of the greatest things I ever learned in my life when I started reading that little book there that I get into on a regular basis. But let's get this going because I'm chomping at the bit. I gotta hear your story. But in order to get there, as everybody knows that comes and pays attention to the GNQ podcast, my brother, you're gonna have to go through the Mad Minute, all right? And that Mad Minute is all
changes people's lives.
It changes their lives for the better in a happy, positive way, all right? So this is going to be the part where and you're an athlete, the beauty of getting warmed up, or we're here to stretch out your prefrontal cortex.
The batting cage for the brain. Was that stupid? How stupid was that?
That was awesome. All right, so you're about ready to get into the batting cage for your brain. And by the way, that's going to be a T-shirt on TNQ Podcast in about a week. So, all right, here we go. So are you ready for the Mad Minute, Adam? All right, first question in the Mad Minute. If you could be born and live in your 20s in any era in human history, what era would that be?
Man, I'm going to go with the mid to late 1800s.
Whoa, that's cool. That's super cool.
I didn't know. You got to be a man to live back then. You know what I mean?
You could have said.
You got to be a man to live back then.
You got to be hard.
You got to be hard, dude. No matter where.
I may last about 30 minutes there, but I'd love to try it.
I love that. All right, go, Marcus.
Who's your favorite superhero?
I'm going to go with, He-Man, and I have no idea why.
Ooh, good one. I watched him last night.
He's serious. Listen, I know a lot of unique, incredible, amazing human beings, and Marcus certainly is every bit of every one of those. But one of the crazy things about really getting to know him and coming to, Luttrell HQ, into his home behind the walls, is to recognize that the man loves watching 1980s cartoons on a regular basis. And it's awesome. And I guarantee over this interview, Adam, you're going to hear some really cool superhero references, man.
Hey, Netflix and iTunes is the best thing ever happened to me.
Best thing created.
Right?
Like it.
All right. Here's the next question. All right. If you could give anybody on the planet truth serum and ask them questions for 10 minutes, who would that person be?
That would That would probably be our current president, Barack Obama.
Everybody said
a lot of people are saying that right now. A lot of people are saying it.
If you could sing a song better than the artist who sings it, halftime show, Super Bowl, what song would it be? And you can get weird with it. One already popped through your head, I know, and that's the one you should get thrown.
I'm gonna go Cowboys Like Us, George Strait.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, right.
That's good. I dig that. All right, we've had some
Linger by the Cranberries. Is it Cranberries? Not Cranberries. Is that wrong?
No, I have to let it linger.
Or Wilson Phillips.
Man, I love it.
Is it my turn? No, it's my turn. No, great answer.
It was great answer.
Great
I love it. Actual amazing answer. All right, here you go. So, if you had to fight one, who would it be? Yosemite Sam or the Tasmanian Devil?
Go with Yosemite Sam.
Yeah.
If you could play out a movie, if you could play out a character in any movie or any book in real life, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy. Josie Wales.
Yeah!
That's like the third Josie Wales, right?
I think
From the hardest dudes. Second is the second.
I still dream. I'm 36 years old, and I still dream about being Josie Wales.
Right? How badass is his scar, dude?
God.
That scar was epic.
Oh my God! From the Show Me State, yeah. Oh
right.
my God!
Missouri boat ride.
Missouri boat ride. Oh man! I swear, Adam. I think I've watched that movie probably 500-600 times.
Didn't Tough Heuerman said Josie?
Yeah.
Was it Tough?
No.
Or did you say John Wayne? I can't remember, but some badass is like John.
All right. Here's the next question. All right. What is something that you're afraid of?
Golly, you know what? Randy Johnson's fastball back in the day.
Dude, hey.
That's vicious.
When we were fishing, I asked him about that time when Randy killed that bird.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that, bro?
Right.
I was like, hey, man. I go, I think we were eating lunch or something, right? I go, hey, that when he killed that bird off the mound like that solidified his legend forever.
Ever.
And then he started telling me, Randy, he's like, man, that dude's mean.
You did not want to get near that thing.
Throw that dude, and this guy can hit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he can. All right. Last question is, what is your greatest achievement?
Oh man, probably I don't know that you could call it my achievement. I'm going to give credit to the Lord, but just my wife and my family, my kids, my wife.
Yeah, I was going to say that, right? Every guy, every good dad, like, my kids,
Yeah. But I love how he gave it up to the Lord first.
Sure.
That was cool. Well, that is the Mad Minute on the TNQ podcast, Adam. Thanks for
change your life.
Yeah. Definitely, you'll never be the same after that. All right. One of the things, the amazing thing, people come to the show specifically for one reason. And that's to hear Marcus go down the red. No, that's not why. All right, they come here for one reason, and that's to hear the people's greatest never quit story. So we're going to jump right in, both feet, looking down the barrel of that gun right now. Adam, what is your greatest never quit story?
And probably baseball in my career, and I say that now because I've just retired within the last 3 months, and I've had time to kind of reflect back on Little League, and really that comes from being home for my first summer in about 20 years, and to be able to travel on the weekends and see my kids play and watch all these Little League games has brought back just a ton of memories of really where I started, which is right here where my kids are at, and the days of Marcus, we're talking about the days of living in Tomball, Texas, and having a cage in the backyard and begging my dad every day to go out and throw to us, and my brothers and I out there playing till it got dark, and just I guess I have to look back on a lot of stuff that I didn't think about or maybe didn't really appreciate, and I was never the biggest, nowhere near the fastest, probably more like the slowest. And I just, at a young age, I don't know what it was, but I was just adamant that I was going to play baseball. I was going to do whatever I could possibly do, or whatever I had to do to make it work.
That's
and
cool.
When you're in it and you're playing, I guess you don't realize the odds or the amount of people that were probably way better than you talent-wise that for whatever reason didn't make it or had a stud in front of them where it kind of blocked their way or had to battle injuries throughout their career and didn't make it. So, another thing I probably took for granted as a player that I now look back on and realize, how fortunate I was and how, I'm glad that I had the attitude of this is what I'm doing no matter what, and nothing's going to get in the way.
Well, what's interesting is the first athlete we had on the show was Dustin Pedroia, and his entire, his never quit story was exactly, I think, similar to your, not exactly, but it was similar in the terms that the whole evolution of people saying you're not going to make it, he wasn't the biggest or the fastest, but it was that desire, that
they're chasing the same dream.
Chasing the dream, right, of playing ball, the joy, the passion. So the question I have, and what kept coming up, I think, with him was, man, the failure, right, and people telling him no and all this. Was that relevant to you, and why was that such a? If it was relevant, why was it such an inspiration to keep working harder and harder and harder?
The failure part, absolutely. I mean, you won't talk to a baseball player that hasn't been through, large amounts of failure, depending on how long you've played. As far as people telling you no, I can't say I had a ton of it. I can tell you in Pedroia's case, he's one of those guys. I got to play with him briefly when I was with Boston, and not knowing him and just watching him play, and obviously seeing what he's done, looking at the stats. I mean, you'd think the guy was 7 foot tall and 250 pounds.
I know, right?
Just animal. And you get up to this guy, and he's a smaller guy. Obviously not the strongest, not the fat. He just has the heart and the will of literally never quit.
Yeah,
and he doesn't. And he's got an MVP under his belt, playing for one of the best teams in the game, one of the best players in the game.
Well, he just don't let anybody outwork him.
Well, that's what I love, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a basketball player like that. There's a lot of them, but I mean, there's those, just like he's talking about. There's that one guy. He's like, not the talent, whatever. But damn, dude,
he's gonna work.
You can't stop. I mean, he never stops working.
Well, and that's, Michael Jordan says repeatedly, over and over, and so many times throughout his career, that, I wasn't the best player, but I was going to work the hardest.
Kobe.
Absolutely.
Kobe does that. So much so where he isolates. You probably know that better than I do, Adam. He shuts himself alone in a gym for all day, every day kind of deal, working on one shot. Yeah. I watched that little thing on him, man. He's the same way as Adam and those guys. Just You got to work harder
than everybody.
And you're not going to do that, right? You're just not going to do it.
So Adam, can I ask you something? Where did your work ethic come from?
And I'm going to say my dad. I was fortunate. My dad played for a long time. I got to grow up around the game. When he was done playing, he coached. He coached with the White Sox and the Mets for a while. So we kind of grew up going to spring training and seeing these guys. And I remember as a young kid going in and watching Carlton Fisk.
Awesome.
He was already, I don't know, I mean, he was old then as a player when I was around. And this guy would go catch 9 innings as an elite player, and towards the back end of his career where it's real easy to say, okay, I've made my money, I'm going to, shut it down. This guy would be in the weight room after games for like an extra hour and a half to get after catching 9 innings. Now, we're talking about, it's 11 o'clock at night. And he's in the weight room by himself going through a strict workout to get ready for the next game. And I saw that at a young age, and I'm thinking, oh, shoot, this is what it takes to be a major leaguer, but also the appreciation for a guy that, even though being older and already having a great career, to still have that kind of work ethic. But I'll tell you what, and you were talking about Dustin and the work ethic, and it's incredible, but I think a huge part of it is knowing how to handle failure.
Yep.
And not just an 0 for 4, not just an 0 for 20 at the plate, but like a bad season.
Getting sent down.
I mean, a long struggle, and that's where, in sports especially, and I would assume the military can be the same way, where that's where you get guys that'll drop out. and guys that'll shut down. It's such a mental grind, and I hate to even compare it to the military, but I'm talking just strictly on a working.
The physical
it's all the same, man. It's just the input.
162 games will beat anybody. Dad. I don't care how badass you are. And if it's going bad mentally, are you kidding me, dude?
I'm starting to see a pattern here, man. And it's one of them deals where everybody who's come on here exceptional, right?
Absolutely.
And most everybody you hear that is exceptional, they're one thing like, failed a lot. And the more exceptional somebody is, the more failures they've had.
100%.
Right? And it's
two things, right? Failure and pain.
The people who aren't successful don't want to fail. It's not about going out and getting the glory and what am I trying to say here, man?
Hitting a pinnacle on people's perception. It's about the journey itself.
Right. Everybody thinks he's a professional baseball player, that it was all glory, right?
Yeah.
Because they're seeing
every day was awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the league. It's just like,
and that's what drives me nuts when people look at the guy like, dude, how could you walk away? You're an idiot and all that. It's just garbage,
these
man.
Guys, anybody you see like that has lent their life to having their ass kicked the whole time. Right?
Yeah,
that's what it's.
Dude,
champions aren't made on the field.
You're right on.
Yeah.
You're right on. And you know what?
Doesn't matter what you do.
When you take a beating, do we chalk it up to, okay, this isn't for me, I'm moving on to the next thing, or do we use that and learn from it and use that to motivate us and drive us? And I think those are your two different types of people.
Right. When you get your ass kicked, some people are like, oh man, I'm done. I don't want any more of that.
Yeah.
And other people are like, oh, well, either I want some more of that, or they put in more work than I did, and they bested me on this day. I'm gonna go back,
and I'm gonna come back even stronger.
Right, that's what we do, right?
That was my favorite part about the teams, right? In Buds, going through the training. Every day you were gonna show up, you knew you were failing. Even if you were perfect,
right,
they were gonna kick the snot out of you.
And you never stop trying to win.
No,
that's the part about it. The room inspections are a great.
Never gonna tell that.
Dude, room inspections, you strip it down, clean it. I mean, like it was brand new.
Not a grain of sand.
Nothing.
On the beach.
Mean, you could see your reflection in your socks, and shave with the creases in your pants, kind of crap. And you will always fail. They will walk in with a pocket full of sand, or just say this thing's too. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the next Sunday, I obviously got to clean this thing harder.
I'm gonna win. I'm not gonna get the beat down.
I'm gonna show them that I'm good enough to obviously. They can do a room better than me. I need to get there. That kind of mentality.
I love it.
It doesn't matter what you do. Those type of people, right?
And it's burned in with reps, right, Adam? I mean, Adam, think about how many times you've thrown a baseball, how many times you swung a bat, how many times your knees, your back, your aches, your pains, the pain in your body that you've gone through to get to that pinnacle of your life. Was it worth it, brother?
Oh my! It's worth every second, man. It absolutely is. And those reps, if you're not passionate about it, then don't do it.
Well,
especially I'm talking baseball specifically, because the grind in that is, if it's not something you're passionate about, then those millions of reps are going to get old, and you're going to lose that drive really, really quick. And I've seen it a bunch with some incredibly talented players.
But isn't that the point, though?
Really just do it because they were good at it, but not because that's what they were.
They loved it.
Set their mind.
Right, and that's the difference, right? And that's the difference between the two. Because isn't that the point? The point of being a professional baseball player is I have to throw a million pitches. That's what being a baseball player is about, right?
Yeah.
It's not,
to be a great shooter, you got to pull that trigger a million times.
Being a frogman just wasn't about being in combat. It was being what's behind that. Being a professional baseball player and playing in there is all the batting practice you got to do. I mean, that's
summer league, winter league,
the pros from the amateur, right?
Playing on the high school team and the travel team. No family vacations to Disney World. You're going to play baseball, man.
Being a lawyer is not in court; it's outside the court, doing all the. No matter what you do, right?
No matter what it is, that's what I love about when these people come on this show to prove to our guests that that's the deal.
There's no secret sauce or anything. It's the same thing. Hard work for everybody and get ready to fail and take some pain.
Now, one of the things Marcus and I talk a lot about on here, Adam, is that when those failures are happening and the doubt is seeded based on your, just your lack of talent or performance whatever it may be, when those failures happen, who is the person or who were the people in your life that came back, picked you up, grabbed your hand, dusted you off, and got you back in the batting cage?
Well, on a really good team, on some of the really good teams I've been on, it's the guys sitting next to me in that clubhouse. You know, it's the guys in the locker next to me. That it really does turn into, and this is your best. These are going to be your most elite teams almost every year. Are the teams that care more about the guy next to them than they do themselves, and you can feel it in the clubhouse. It's one of those things that I don't expect. You know, people that haven't been in that situation to totally understand. You got to be there to experience it. But it's not just, you know, as a hitter, it's not just.
Oh, you love each other. You know, I'm telling you, it's not just a jersey and a number, man. You love each other.
I mean, you do, period. I mean, there's a connection there where you literally care more about the next guy, and it's the most unselfish type of ball you can play, and translates into a lot of wins. So
I love that.
Over the years, it's been a ton of different people. It's been, when I first came up at a young age, it was the older guys. It was Chipper. It was, you know, when I came up with the Braves, it was Smoltz. It was Bacall, Andrew Jones. You know, the older guys. They took me under their wing. I got to watch the way these guys work, the way these guys handle themselves, and learn from that. And
that's right.
I mean, we love to say it like that too, man. You do all that training and everything, the weightlifting in the cage and everything like that, so you can hang out with them guys. That's what we do, man. We go through all that hell just so I can hang out with those.
I can be in the club.
So you busted your ass so you can hang out with Chipper, right? I mean, those older guys, we were the Vietnam guys. You went through all that, and they were the ones hammering you. Like, that's okay.
Yeah, please more.
Yeah, go on. I'm just happy to be here.
And then, can I hear a story?
Right. And then when you train so hard and you actually start performing, and they recognize, when your teammates recognize your performance, is when you know you're on the right track. It's not telling everybody how good you are. It's when your teammates are telling everybody how good you are.
That's right. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions in baseball, because we do play every day, is that there's no practice. Like I don't know how many people have come up and said, okay, so you play a game at 7 o'clock. What time do you get there? Like 5:36? Well, I wish that was the case, but I mean, you know, guys are there at noon for a 7 o'clock game, and it's repetition. And when you watch guys that have played 15 years in the major leagues in the batting cage at 1 o'clock, you know, it really makes you wonder why, after this many years, you continue to take, you know, 200 or 300 swings before you even go out for batting practice. And it's that, it's one, it's the work ethic, it's just embedded in them. And two, it's that muscle memory, which I know you guys are very familiar with, where you're relying on that to just take over in whatever profession you're in.
Well, sure. Well, when you know the end game is going to be hell, that's why you train like that.
Well, so one of the things, you know, and I love that statement you just made, Mark, is when you know the end game is going to be hell, you got to be prepared for that. Now, Adam, you've made this
right. It's not just lifting the trophy at the end of the game, and you got to get through the damn game.
Well, and I think where I'm going, it's a bigger perspective, right? Because what we're talking about when we're trying to influence people on this show is saying, hey, it's not just about. It's the bigger picture in your life, the fulfillment, the purpose, right?
Yeah, okay. I stand corrected.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, yeah, I was a little shallow there. I think my head hurts, man.
I got you. I'm going to take you. Just come along with me down this one.
I did not mean to throw that shallow-ass answer out at you.
I got you.
What are we doing here?
We're going big, dude.
Right,
and we're fixing to go real big
Put
right
me in a
now.
bitch, Marcus. No.
All right, so, you know, that's our purpose, is really to show people that, hey, man, living a higher purpose, pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone to really experience life and to understand the power of the never quit mindset is substantial. Now, Adam, one of the things that I truly, and I got to tell you this, have profound respect for you is your shift now that you've walked away from baseball by your own accord and for your own reasons, and what you're doing now and your desire to make an impact on the human trafficking issue in the world. If you could, can you please kind of tell our listeners why it's so important to you?
Well, man, to be honest, 2 years ago it wasn't. You know, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, if somebody asked me what the word trafficking meant, I probably couldn't even give you an educated, answer on that or a definition. long story short, I ran into a guy a few years ago that was a pastor and ended up found himself over in Asia and realized the slavery and trafficking issue over there. Uprooted his family, took his kids, moved over, and has been fighting that fight ever since.
Wow.
And he's sharing this with me up in Colorado, and he's like, man, you got to come over and see it. Like, I can't sit here and tell you the stuff that we're seeing. And you can read books and watch all the video you want. He's like, listen, until you see it firsthand. And I went over with a partner of mine, Blaine Boyer, who's still pitching. And we went over there, and it was the most life-changing thing I'd ever seen. And I remember coming back from that, and it was just a 10-day trip where we got to go in and, help rescue some of these girls, some of these underage girls that were being raped 7, 8, 9 times a night in these brothels. And we both came back and were like, are we really going to go play a game? I mean, this is obviously in the off season. We're like, we're gonna go home and start working out again and get back in the cave and get ready to go play a game when this is going on. I mean, it really messed us both up to the point where the first couple of weeks after we got back, we were seriously thinking about just shutting it down.
Wow.
And dive this fight full time. So again, it's opened my eyes to not only what's going on in other countries. It's horrific, but also what we have going on right here in the States. Right here in every state.
Well, hell, mine's the worst. I'm a proud Texan. You know that. It's bad here,
well,
man.
I mean, I tell you what, when you look at just some of the baseline statistics in terms of there are approximately 20 to 30 million slaves in the world. The U.S. Department of State says about 600 to 800,000 people are trafficked across international borders every day. 80% are female and half are children. These statistics are appalling. And I've where I've traveled in my life and some of the things I've seen, I bear witness to this atrocity. But there's something that happens, to a person that wants to get involved in this type of evil, in this type of torture, this type of devaluation of human existence that's profound. And, Adam, the question is, man, why would you want to subject, because, you walk away from baseball, you got enough, you made a great living, you can be with your family, you can enjoy, you can have other businesses and enjoy this time after this incredible effort you've made. Why now do you want to bring this type of evil and torture and pain into your life? Why are you choosing to do it?
Well, I guess, man, there's a lot of reasons.
I can answer that one. I mean, hey, this is what I see. Because I know how he loves his wife.
That's a good point.
He loves his kids.
Yeah.
And to think, when you got a man who steps up like that, who truly loves wife and kids, who believes in God and believes that women create all life, and that children, life everlasting is our children. You boil that down. The Bible, you can interpret it any way you want, but that one in my mind, in his mind, I mean, not putting words in your mouth, brother, but that's our future. And if you're taking advantage of that, if you're stripping that away, you are literally, that is a crime against humanity. And men like that don't stand for that shit. It's crap stuff.
Well, why did you guys do what you did for all those years? I know it wasn't for the money.
Sure it was.
Hey.
Brother, when I got out of the team, when I got
$100 hazardous duty, right?
Hazardous duty. When I got out of teams, Adam, I was $10,000 in debt. I had a Harley Davidson, and I moved in with my parents.
Badass frog man right there. I live with my moms.
I'll tell you why I did it. Go ahead. Well, initially I did it because I wanted to be around other great men. I wanted to go stand side by side and be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what, I made it. I deserve to be here, but not for myself, but to be around a great team. But then when I realized the magnitude of evil in this world, and that if people don't rise up, ordinary men, ordinary women, ordinary children don't rise up, literally get out of their seats and walk the path and get up there in the fight, then evil will take over.
I think it also starts with carrying yourself the way, like Adam does. I mean, here's the deal. Sometimes I'm a stand, and like a bunch of us teammates, or Adam, I'll be standing around, and I'll start telling a story, or he'll start telling a story, and something will come out of my mouth, and I wouldn't have seen his wife standing there or a child standing there. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you stand there. Like, oh, that's okay. You hear it all the time. Well, you didn't hear it from me.
Yeah.
That's how it starts right there.
Yeah.
You didn't hear it from me, right? You don't hear it when it's around, when I'm standing around here. And if you just do that to yourself, then your buddies know that, and then it just passes on.
Absolutely.
I mean, there is a point, and I get the whole freedom of speech. You can say anything you want, man, but if it's affecting somebody in a harmful way, and I'm not talking about just getting your feelings hurt, because
we're talking about something much bigger. I mean, we're talking the freedom of action.
Exactly.
Where the moral laws are being discarded around the world.
I mean, that's what baffles me, is when people even argue with the fact that we're hunting them down. You're telling me what you're doing. You're justifying saying that this is okay by getting mad at me or Adam or Jeremy or anybody for doing this? How's that work?
I don't know if people are getting mad. It's just people can't fathom it. And Adam, if you could help people understand why it's important that not just you in particular, but why people need to pay attention and make an effort to stop this.
Well, I think, I don't know, like myself a couple of years ago, I don't think the majority of people know how big the issue is. And don't get me wrong, I know we have tons of other issues.
Not like this one.
In this world, but when I was younger, I was not a great kid. I wasn't even a good kid, to be honest. But the one thing that always bothered me, and probably the only thing that, and I shouldn't say the only thing, but one of the things that crushed me as a kid is when somebody that couldn't defend themselves was getting picked on.
I was bullied too, man. I hate it.
I cannot handle it. And even at 36 years old, that's the one thing that I have a huge problem with is, the helpless getting taken advantage of. And that's exactly what this is. This is poor, impoverished families that have their children either taken from them or sold into slavery. And there's no judicial system. There's no law enforcement. I mean, I think we have to understand in these other countries, there's no 911 that these people can call and say, listen, my kid just got abducted. I mean, you just got to wear it. And if people don't stand up and fight for them, then
no one will.
Then they're lost. I mean, nobody's going to do it. So, one of the first things my mom and my wife is like, what are you getting into? You're not trained for this. You have no idea what you're doing. This isn't like you've been in law enforcement or in the military your whole life. And I honestly say, I don't care. What is the worst that can happen? And I say that very seriously.
Right.
I believe, without a doubt, that when we leave this earth, we're going to go stand before the King and be accountable for what we did, good or bad. And I don't think he's going to care. I don't think God's going to care about my baseball stats or my bank account or awards I won. I think he cares about life-changing stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, you said you weren't born to learn how to play baseball, and you got real good at that. I mean, people were saying that you don't know anything about this, you don't know what you're doing. Well, that's all right. You didn't know what you were doing in the beginning either, and you turned out to be a great baseball player. I have no doubt whatever you put your mind to is going to be, you're going to change something.
Well, this is a big challenge, and I mean, if you could, when you first went over that first time you saw tell us the story. What'd you see that got in your heart that's making you, I mean, this is a big change. It's a shift. This is a cataclysmic shift in focus in a person's life to go from professional baseball player, like you said, to, trying to combat one of the darkest organizations, some of the darkest, nastiest, most evil organizations on the planet. What did you see to make you say, I don't care. I'm going to be judged by God, and this is what I got to do? What'd you see?
I saw defenseless young girls that were absolutely trapped in another country with no passport, no rights, and threats to the point. And I don't need to go into detail, but threats to the point where they're scared to go tell anybody. They're scared to death. The law enforcement and military, depending on where you're at, can be incredibly corrupt, and most of them know that even at a young age. So that's not something where you can run to a local cop, and tell him what happened. So,
Well, children, man, are scared to death.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I mean, what do they know? I don't know. I think the people who are supposed to be protecting them, because ultimately that's what that is. I mean, if you're an adult and you're a child, you're supposed to protect it, right?
Well, I think it's even deeper than that, man. When in some of the places I've been where this is prevalent, it's part of the culture. Like, it's acceptable, I mean, in even some cases, family members are selling their own children or selling, the children of their brothers or their nieces or nephews. And so this cultural this cultural cancer is a massive fight, and that's why
I get everything with the rights we have, and but there's some things on this planet that happen that should be just unacceptable, right? I mean, even to the fact where you would think about that, this is like, no, as human beings, that one's not going down. You can do anything. I mean, there's a lot of stuff people get away with. That one right there, don't do it. Otherwise, we're getting rid of you. I mean, it should be that extreme, right? Because what you're doing is, and the part that he left out is the eyes. You ever seen somebody when they're broke?
Marcus, that is straight biblical. There's a few times in Scripture where God says, hey, you're going to screw up, you're going to do something. Do not mess with a child.
Under any circumstances.
Period.
I think the quote is, you're better off tying a millstone around your neck and jumping into the ocean than messing with one of my children.
It should be that way, right?
There's no doubt. And for the people that say that this is an issue in other countries and it's not our issue, they could not be further from the truth. I don't know the numbers on it, but it's staggering and mind-blowing how much of this is going on right here in these small communities around where I live in the middle of nowhere, and then obviously in our bigger cities around the country.
Go ahead, man.
We've got drug task force, and probably some of the best in the world. We've got weapons trade and weapons dealer task force that handle that. There's not a lot out there outside of these NGOs and people like myself that are probably viewed as unqualified. There's not a lot out there to put a dent, in this issue.
Well, because the profits are so substantial. I mean, when you're making $90 in a country where the overwhelming majority of people are living on $1 or less, and you can get $90 for a kid, and no moral code whatsoever. Why wouldn't it? I mean, to think that even in America alone, we have, around 15,000 human beings trafficked each year in the most, advanced country in the world, bro. I mean, it's just...
Well, it's kind of one of the deals where people always warrant their response to their responsibility, right? And I mean, everybody's responsibility to a child is to make sure they have a future, correct? So, I mean, everyone's like, well, that response didn't... Look, man, I responded like, if someone was messing with my kid, my response is as my responsibility as a parent, which is ultimately to protect them no matter what. I will kill you. Hands down.
Hands down.
You know what I mean? It's not even up for debate.
Question.
And if you try to debate me on that, then you're a problem. Trying to debate me on how to protect my kid, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And as my responsibility to other children in my community and around my home and everything like that, man, when they're around me, look, we go overseas, we take, for the trips, we take the teenagers and their friends. Their parents know that those kids don't come back. I'm not coming back.
Exactly.
That's it. I mean, it's a watchdog on point the whole time.
Well, what I think is amazing about this, Adam, is that you don't know these children that are over there. You don't got any relationship to them other than your relationship through God. And I think what the important concept here is to recognize that if you allow that type of love to enter in your heart, and you allow that kind of conviction and that purpose, it can overwhelm kind of the normal idea that I shouldn't do this. This isn't dangerous. It's, I need to protect what I have or whatever. When you get over there and you save these young kids, how do you, in your mind, what's the idea behind rebuilding them? To teach them, hey, you're through. Don't quit. Keep coming back. What are the things that you guys think about and share with them?
You talking about the victims?
Yes.
No, and that's another whole other issue is the aftercare there, and it's absolutely crucial. A couple things. It's crucial that you don't just go remove these girls without making arrests because they're replaced the next day.
I mean, they can get their hands on girls and boys. They can get their hands on these young kids so fast. So, and that's also probably the most frustrating part is being patient while those cases come together, where you can go in and make an arrest. But then also you got to have a place for them, like you were talking about.
Right.
And these, it's not something where you can pull these kids out and expect them to be normal in a week. I mean, there's cases where they may have been there. They may be 20 years old and have been basically captive for 5 or 6 years.
Oh my
gosh. They're hollow, soulless.
Well, that's a problem. I think that's a big overlook when it comes to children, man. Is that I'm sorry, but I'm going. They don't have an identity. They're a child. They identify with the adult. So if if they're subjected to this kind of torture their whole life, man, that's going to be their identity. It's hard to change that back around when the person who's supposed to be
especially in those formative developmental years.
Absolutely,
absolutely. But one of the things I love about it, Adam, is your focus, and I think the more we can give voice to this, the more that we can actually help. And are there any organizations in particular that you want to talk about, or people that are driving these or bring light to, so our listeners can go and support these people?
Man, I appreciate you saying that. And one thing I've learned, and when I first got into it, I thought, man, there's just nobody out here doing anything about it. And there's actually quite a few, and it's been awesome. I've been able to connect with, probably a dozen of these groups that are doing awesome work. Marcus, one of your buddies, is one of them.
Jeremy.
They're doing incredible things. So that's been very promising to make these connections and see that actually there is people kind of out there somewhat underground that are getting after it and share the same passion and understand the need there. So I've been able to work with a group called the Exodus Road. I've been able to work with a group called OUR, Operation Underground Railroad. Another probably the leader in this fight is a group called IJM. I was actually in D.C. last week meeting with them, International Justice Mission. They're kind of the group that everybody looks up to and tries to replicate and ask for their assistance. So, yeah, I would say every week to 2 weeks I'm connected with a new group that I knew nothing about that is out there, fighting this, whether it's domestically or in these third world countries. So it's been pretty awesome.
Well, Adam, I got to tell you, man, it's always challenging, and I see this a lot in what I do for a living now, and I'm a coach and a speaker and all that. But one of the things I really like to focus on is helping people make transitions from one career to another, in particular with veterans coming out and finding new purpose in their lives. And as you well know, and I think when I heard in the beginning of the interview, that reflective period that's in your heart and about the effort you put forth to make it to the pinnacle of your profession. But now what's amazing is that through a chance occurrence with a pastor and with in one experience overseas with your swim buddy, and to see give a heavy dose of the reality of evil that does exist, that's all around us all the time, to feel new purpose in your life and to be set on a mission that, any apostle would be proud of, man. And I just really want to, say thank you for your effort in this change and this purpose, and most importantly to come on the show, this portion of the show, and really share that with our listeners. So thank you so much, Adam. I appreciate it.
Oh man, dude,
God
the fact that
you
coming on here and I'm glad you did, because everyone knows you as a great baseball player, man. You just told everybody what kind of great man you are.
Yeah.
You played baseball. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I hear you.
He walked away from baseball. No, he didn't. He played baseball.
You ever thought about this? Maybe his purpose through baseball was to get to this.
Right. No,
and this is his true calling in life, is to save human lives.
All the people we've had on there who've built themselves up the way they do, man, it's just like, we were Navy SEALs. That's why they don't say, once a Marine, always a Marine. That's true.
Yeah.
You wrote some books. You were a Navy SEAL, man. Now we're doing this. And that's what he's doing. I mean, to give up America's pastime to go get into something like that
is epic.
That's heavy, right?
And And speaking of that, and I've always prided myself on saying this, that baseball is what I do. It's not who I am. So I have no doubt that baseball and the whole platform of baseball has led up to this. And I, as much as I love baseball, I take way more pride in doing this. And the man, just the feeling you get, even to put a small dent in it.
That's great.
Something I never got.
No, I mean, we
one soul at a time, Adam.
Right. We have people on here all the time, man. Like, hey, if that's what you are. That's what you are. And then you have the people who have the ability to. They're multiple, right? They have multiple facets. That's what makes them up, right? Part of the man he is a hell of a ball player, right? And then I also tracked down when people who
the worst, nastiest people on the planet. I'm going to get them.
I mean, he's a predator too, right?
He's a predator.
I mean, hey, all you out there who are doing this, you should know. Up till now, you were just being pursued. The guys that I know who are come on board on this, and it's great because she's like, man, some of them don't even have names. No, we don't have any names. Up till now, you've been pursued. Now you're being hunted.
I love it.
They were looking. A lot of these guys were looking for something to do after they got out of the war, and they found it.
Yep.
And they're passionate about it. Stand by. You have some of our elite on this team now.
And I love it. Well, Adam, God bless you and your hunt. And also, God bless you and your goals to, be with your family, to make a good impression on your children, and to show them the way that the hard road, the long road, the heavy road, the right road is the road for them. So thanks so much for coming on, Adam. We really appreciate it, buddy.
Guys, it was a pleasure. I mean that. Thank you, guys. Man, I'll come on anytime. Y'all let me know. I'm going to leave you. I wanted to say one last thing in a quote that I think about a lot from Teddy Roosevelt. You guys may have heard it. And it's do what you can with what you got where you are. And if you think about that, and it goes along with what we're talking about, you don't have to be a professional athlete or an ex-professional athlete or an ex-Navy SEAL or come from some, what we would consider, some unbelievable background or what society would consider. I mean, that goes for everybody. If we can, if we can realize that no matter what our status is or our bank account is, there's something out there we can be doing that can be very productive in what I would call kingdom work. That goes for every single one of us. So I just love that quote and something to chew on.
No, it sums it up perfect because the way you look at it, like, we're not doing Navy SEAL stuff. We're not doing baseball stuff. We're doing this. And what you have here is the man who can play baseball, the man who can be a Navy SEAL. We're bringing that energy to this.
Something bigger.
Right. I mean, that's the greatest part about it. And what he said was, I mean, everybody has that. That quote is pretty profound, actually.
It's huge.
And, make a difference in where you're at right in the moment.
Right now.
Right?
Well, that's all we got. Thanks for so much for our guests and the listeners. I appreciate it. And Marcus, man, all right. Marcus, that dude is phenomenal, man.
Right? I mean, one thing I didn't tell you about that, just I wanted to watch the look on your face when you realized you were thinking you had a baseball player role on here, right?
No, I've read all the articles. I've read the ESPN stuff. I watched the interviews. I knew about it, but even those, because of the way they chop them up or the way they choose to distribute or whatever, you don't know. But when a man gets on and you hear him in his voice, and describe that this path he's on, that's profound, dude. I mean, that dude was making $14 million and had several years left in his career, but said, you know what, my family's more important. And, maybe we can get him to talk about that in the after actions. But, but the real pivotal, the interview that we just went through was literally this quest and that what he saw over there.
Right. I don't know about how, I guess how powerful the sight, seeing something where it
visually, right? Because we read about it all day long. We see it on the news. We see it, but we're so.
Maybe we should have said seeing it in real life.
Real world.
There you
Right,
go.
remember when everybody in the teams, everybody talk about real world deals.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, real world. Oh, he was on a real world op. And back, remember before the war, it was like, oh my
What was
God.
it? Team 3 rolled in with that VBSS op where they were up there cutting the roof off. Remember that?
Yeah.
And that made it on the high side.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh.
Yeah,
What was that, like 99 or 2000 or something like that?
And then the guys in Kosovo and the bridge op. Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, damn it, man. There's too many team guys. I'll never get into anything like that.
And then real world became the only thing.
Oh, no, I got to a point where, and we were joking about this the other day, we did so many VBSS ops that we were wanting to pass it over to some. That's how you know. And that goes with DAs and everything. People are like, man, there's not another platoon that can get that done. You know what I'm saying? That's how you know when you've been working. And the damn net guys, man, they roll that tempo, the op tempo, and you don't really realize it when you're in.
Yeah.
I mean, op tempo to us is no big deal. That's just extra days on the books, correct?
Right.
Because you love it.
Yep.
When you're out at old man, looking back at Morgan, he had some new guys from his last platoon come over to the Lazy J. We went hunting, and I remember looking at them guys like, hey man, do you even touch a razor yet? But we look like that.
Yeah.
You know, and these guys were war fighters. They'd been with Morgan and back a couple times, and I was like, damn, dude, man, were we running like that? And they, we were.
Yep.
That's why you do it at that age. You can handle anything. The world is just like, man, let's do this.
The wild thing about Adam, I mean, Adam's 36 years old. He's comfortable. He's got all this, fame, fortune.
Sure. Why do that? Why go back to
Why?
Because it's never done. People who are like, I'm 40, life's over, I'm supposed to be doing this part of it. That's kind of like the same people who run on a 24-hour time clock. Most people, right?
Explain that. Explain that, because I know where you're going with it. Explain it.
Some of my days go longer than 24 hours.
Yeah.
I don't look at it at a clock. I know when I eat when I'm hungry, and if there's something in front of me, you just keep working. We learned that in the teens, man. Work through lunch, get off early. Yeah. When did we ever get off early?
Never.
Right.
Never.
Half day is 12 hours, that kind of deal.
Well,
so, I mean.
This mission he's going on, I mean, this doesn't end. There's no like I hit the point in life where he's going to stop caring about these kids, these little girls and these boys.
And women and children.
Women and children. He's not going to get to the point.
You stop caring about women and children, it's over. Everything's over.
But this dude, this guy, your friend,
right?
He's not having that. He's going to a place where this is culturally accepted by the men, because they're making a lot of money. It's a humongous business around the world.
Sure.
And he's going over there with no training, no background, nothing, dude.
The rabbit's hole in that one's so deep because there wouldn't be trafficking if you didn't have the other side of it. Somebody wanted it. I mean, you got to go back to the good book, right?
Oh, brother,
if we're at a point to where that's okay or not okay, it's tolerated. It is tolerated. You're like, no, we got laws on the book. We persecute. No. That means it's tolerated. Something that's not tolerated means if you do it, we will get rid of you.
Well,
eliminate you
forever.
Because
gone, evaporated.
And the people that come at me about my values, well, all human life. Do you understand what this person is doing? He is ending human life.
But it's not his fault, Marcus. But it's not their fault. They had a rough upbringing.
I get out and talk to the people, everybody. And that includes people who, the therapist, and they're like, hey man, you can't fix that.
Yeah.
It's something, you can't convince me that a person, if something's wrong, where it's okay to do that to a child, that you can fix that. That's not an accident. I'm sorry, man. Guys, I know I'm hard-headed or whatever. You can't float. You're not gonna be able to float that one past me. I'm sorry, man.
Well, and what I love about Adam is he does this with the goodness of heart. I mean, he's got God in his heart.
Yeah, you can't float that past him either.
No, and he's acting. And you know what? He's an inspiration right now. For all those people that are listening right now, when you heard his story, I know you were moved because you felt something in this guy's life. And even though you might for 1 second be like, oh, what an idiot, he walked away from all that money and all that. But now I think you're knowing, man, this guy believes in what he believes in and he stands up for it. And you can too.
Right.
Oh, you can too.
Exactly. And it's not signing up and going over there with him. No, that ain't how it is. You just do not tolerate in your area, in your home, wherever you're at,
your influence.
You will not tolerate the disrespect or the cruelty to a woman or a child.
Period.
While you're standing there.
Period.
And if everybody did that, it wouldn't exist. If you even got a whiff of it, like, come again? Oh, let me call somebody. Really? Oh, 1 second. Don't
Just
leave.
1 second. I've got some pipe
I got some buddies. I'm gonna call up. We're gonna go hang out.
Yeah. And you know, but it takes a person like Adam to get it going. And I just really appreciate you reaching out to him, dude.
I mean,
really cool.
Look, I get fired. I'm talking smack, man. I'm not on the line with him.
Yeah.
Man, I'm old and busted, dude. I'm a there been has whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I didn't give up baseball to go do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just backing him up now because he's the one that's doing this. He inspired me.
That's
the way that I treat women and love my wife and everything like that is one thing, man. But I am just as guilty as somebody who even doesn't even care because you know what, man,
he's out there,
right?
Well, I tell you what, I foresee in your and my future, we might be making some trips over to support Adam. He did say he needed some training and some backup, so I know two people that
we know somebody.
You and I know some people.
We know some people.
All right, so that's all we got for this edition of the Team Never Quit podcast with yours truly and Marcus Luttrell. We want to thank you for participating. We also want to thank you for supporting us. If you've never been to the website, please go to the website at teamneverquit.com/podcast or just tnqpodcast.com. Visit us, see what we're all about, listen to the other shows, spread those shows out to the people you love and you care about, because that's our mission in life, is to bring on amazing people like Adam LaRoche, to have them tell their stories, to inspire people to become legends themselves. Great stories ignite legends. Now, and if you really are fired up and you know of a great story or a great story about someone, go ahead and submit it to the website. We've got a section there for you to do that. Submit that great story. You send a video in off your iPhone or your Android or whatever it is, and we're going to take a look at them. And if they're good, Marcus and I will read them on air. And if they're great, Marcus, what are we going to do?
I'll bring them on here.
They're going to come on
here.
Look at them while they tell their great story. All right. So that's what we want for you. Also, visit our merchandise, help support the mission out there to let other people know that they're great too. They just have to dig deep. They have to be disciplined. They have to walk a higher purpose. And the fact that they have to be surrounded by people they love and care about and doing the right thing. So as we do in all and every show, I'm going to end with some thank yous. And I want to thank, my friends right here, everybody in this room at the TNQ Podcast HQ. I want to thank all those in my life who've had an impact to do the right thing, to do the right stuff, my children, my wife, and I want to thank God for inspiring me to do that. Marcus?
Absolutely, yeah. No, Adam, man, he's a hell of a guy. I mean, yeah, everything that he's done, and to have somebody like him, as prominent he was, get out to cover down on something that's so important to all of us, the women and the children in our life, man. That's just a perfect time to tell all the women out there and the kids out there, look, if you're suffering, man, and there is some worthless piece of trash, man, that is mistreating you or looking at you, and when he's telling you that you're nothing, and just hold on out there and never think for 1 second that as a woman or a child out there that there is not a grown man that even though we don't know you, we don't care about you and understand how important you are just to our very existence. And the mere fact that some low-life piece of trash would take everything away from you by mistreating you aggravates me to the point that I am pissed about their procreation on this planet. And the fact that Adam has come out and given up everything that this country holds dear and looks to as a pinnacle or a pillar of what a grown-ass man should be with money and fame and wealth, and give it all up to cover down on the most primitive point of our existence, which is our women and our children, the holy grail in life everlasting. You got to understand, good Lord, back in the day, he might be a saint, or he might have some wings growing up behind that shit. But I'll tell you what I got a twin brother who's got a set of horns that grows out of his damn head. And every time I see some piece of shit pick on a woman, I want to tear his head off, dude. And I get more fired up about this crap. You want to? I don't have any nerve you can touch, but that one, I don't tolerate that crap, man. And I'm glad that he doesn't. He's used what he does to shed some light on that, man, because maybe that's what it's time to shed light on, not everything else. So
how about some thanks in your life?
Yeah, man, I give thanks to the good Lord for giving me all my abilities, my friends for helping me find them, my wife, good Lord, man, I love the boss like nothing, you know what I mean, my mother. Thanks, Mom. And to my daughter, Adelaide, and I'll watch over you for the rest of your life. So thanks for everybody for giving me that opportunity. And dude, did I just go on a tear?
It was awesome.
I'm sorry, man.
No, it was awesome.
I can tell I have because I'm coming down from it now.
It was awesome, and our listeners
really
needed to hear it. It's okay to be passionate.
Profanity, I'm sorry. Because you didn't hear it from me.
It was awesome.
Man, that's all I got. God bless. I'm out.
Let's roll.